Hi, I'm Brianna Hetherington.
I'm Jen Hatcher. And I'm Kat Gottlieb.
Welcome to the Conscious Creator Community Podcast. We are over the moon excited to share our wisdom, experiences, and valuable insights to becoming the best version of yourself.
Welcome, everyone, to Conscious Creator Community. I am your host today, Kat Gottlieb, and I am here with my two amazing, beautiful co-hosts, Brianna Hetherington and Jen Hatcher. And today we have an amazing podcast for you, but wait a minute. Why is it so dark in here? Oh, have you ever done that? Ever gone into a building and you're like, why is it so freaking dark in here? And then you realize you still have your sunglasses on. Or is it just me? Today, we're going to talk about 5 simple steps to rewire your limiting beliefs by removing or examining the lens through which you see yourself. So by the end of this episode, you're going to have some 5 really simple steps that are very actionable that you can swap out your limiting beliefs and have a crystal clear mindset on unlocking yourself to your next level. But let's first peel back the layers of that stinky onion called limiting self-beliefs. So what limiting self-beliefs is, it's a deeply held negative thought or conviction, like a belief that actually restricts your potential. It creates self-imposed barriers or obstacles, things that you just assume you cannot overcome. And they usually stem from past experiences and social conditioning. It's negative self-perceptions that really gets in the way of us having the courage or the curiosity to explore our true potential. One of the things I thought was really interesting while I was preparing for this podcast is that limiting self-beliefs is based in something in our subconscious. It's our core beliefs. Now, our core beliefs is this thing that we were told and formed inside of our subconscious by the time we were 6 years old. Think about that. Things before we even understood the world, that our absorbent minds, when you're a little kid, they're just sponges and they have no filters. And if somebody told you something about yourself as a kid, you didn't even think that maybe they're wrong. No, we assumed that our caregivers and the adults that were around us knew better, that so much of what we were told as little kids, we carry into our adulthood. And then through inherited dynamics, sometimes we then impose those same limiting beliefs upon our children. And it's this perpetual limited notions that we carry from one generation to the next. I can give you an example of one of mine. In grade school, I went to a Catholic school, and the nuns told me I had a really bad singing voice. They might not have been wrong. I have this very deep core belief that I cannot carry a tune. It's kind of weird, and that's one's kind of silly, but how many really seriously self-imposed notions do we have about ourselves that could be based in nothing more than somebody else's opinion? So, why is this important? Well, it's important because if we really want to reach our true potential, we have to challenge these core beliefs. Oh, another really important fact I found out about this. Do you know that 70 to 80% of your core beliefs negatively slanted? Think about that. All these beliefs, all how you view yourself, 70 to 80% are slanted towards negativity. How does that resonate within you guys? Well, the way to get to a place where we feel free to be who we truly authentically are, we have to challenge those core beliefs. And I say self-improvement starts first and foremost with forgiveness. And it's not just forgiveness for other people, because sometimes they never even asked to be forgiven. They weren't even aware that they were hurting you in a deep, hurtful way. I don't believe in giving people forgiveness unless they ask for it, but the forgiveness is for yourself. It is to let go of the blame and the shame and any other self-limiting emotions that bubble up when you're trying to accomplish something really cool and meaningful for yourself. We have the power to change. Our patterns are not going to change unless we change. So how do we do that? So one of them that I bet most people can relate to. Public speaking. Say, oh, you have this opportunity at work. Your boss comes up to you and says, hey, I really want you to, when we go to that convention, there's this big thing I want you to speak at, and you're going to be speaking in front of 500 other colleagues and associates in your industry. You know that, like, how many people would be like, oh, no, I can't do it. But right there, you're limiting your potential by allowing yourself to believe that you can't speak in public. So that's why it matters that we have this conversation today. That's why it's really important that if you really want to be your best person, you gotta tackle some of this stuff. Oh, one other thing, Louise Hay, who is one of my heroes from Hay House, she said, if you accept a limiting belief, then it will become a truth for you. And what I want us to think about today, and for the rest of this podcast, talk about, what if instead we decided to believe in ourselves? And so then that improved belief becomes our truth. So as conscious adults, we have the option of examining our limiting beliefs. In preparation for this podcast, I asked my two lovely co-hosts some questions, and I want to get into a good, juicy conversation with them now because it's always insightful and always interesting. The first question I asked them was, what was a moment you began to see yourself differently, for the better, for worse? And what made you become aware of your self? Brianna, what do you think?
Yeah. So first thing that comes to mind when we're looking at belief is my first time I really it just sunk in for me and I really started to believe in myself was when I got offered a Division I scholarship in high school to play Division I lacrosse in college. And it was this overwhelming feeling of, whoa, I got this and I can do this on my own without my parents. This was my first thing independently that I was going to do that I was really proud of. So I would say that was my first. I think when you look at awareness and you start to view it, it comes in layers. And I almost look at it as an enlightenment of layers. As I age, I would say the more enlightened I became was from those struggles that I faced. So the more struggles that I faced, the more I learned to trust myself and break through that. When I really had the most impact was when I was significantly betrayed by two people that I really love deeply. And what that did to me, I love that you brought up forgiveness, because forgiveness of not only them, but forgiveness of myself, and to be able to just break free and almost break open. When you're betrayed and you're hurt so deeply, you realize, oh my gosh, there was so much blocking what I was seeing. There was so much in the way. And all of a sudden, now you have a completely different lens to look through. So for me, I think struggle enlightened me. And my greatest fears, facing them dead on, like you talked about, public speaking for me, that was a big one. But it's you know what? I'm more than capable of speaking in front of people. Who says I can't do that? Absolutely, I can do that, but I can't allow that imposter syndrome to take over and to control my outcome. I get to determine that. I get to choose better thoughts. I get to choose better beliefs, and that is up to me.
Yeah. Amazing. That's amazing. How about you, Jen?
So I'm going to start with the baby ones. Probably helpful to understand a little bit about who I was growing up. I was a really shy kid growing up. I was a really fat kid growing up. And I'm not saying that in a bad way or a mean way. I just was very overweight. So I struggled with that so much mentally, especially as you're getting to later elementary school, when so many people are sporty and super whatever. I wasn't that kid. So one of my my baby breakthrough number one was I chosen by my teachers have played a very important role in my life, to represent our school for this district-wide oral reading competition. And I did really, really well in it. And then I went to the next level and the next level. And so that was a baby breakthrough of people believing in me and seeing me in a different way that I saw myself, that I could start to see that, oh, I am really good and I am successful with something. Another baby breakthrough was in high school. I made the cheerleading squad, and that was huge to me. I can't explain how epiphanal that was of oh my gosh, I'm worthy. I can do this. I'm going to get out in front of the school and I'm going to do my thing and wear the cute skirt. And like, it was really big and really healthy as part of my high school experience. The biggest one was in my late 20s when I had a young daughter. So my oldest daughter was baby toddlerish. And it was this period where there was a lot of things that I heard told to me about me, limiting beliefs, right? Girls don't swear. Jen, you've never been good. Jenny, people from my past call me Jenny. Jenny, you've never been good at math. Don't worry about it. Like, you don't need to worry about it. You're not being modest. Like, all of these things. And somewhere inside of me, there was like this dragon that woke up, a good dragon, but a dragon that woke up and like not only woke up, but the fire was coming and it was coming. And I started paying attention to all these things that were told to me that I didn't like. And there was no way on this good green earth I was going to let anybody tell my daughter who she could be and how she could act in life. Like, as a mom, my mama bear whatever went into full gear. It was epiphanal in changing my life as well, and taking off those sunglasses, Kat, that I had been wearing for so long. And not only did I take them off, like I stomped on them, I rolled over them a couple times. Breeze Point, my next several years were hugely transitional. They're painful on so many levels. We need like 10 podcasts to talk about all of that. But that was it. It was my late 20s, being a mom and starting to observe around me, not only for myself, but for my young daughter. And the shortest version I can give of this is I realized I was not going to be a martyr, and that is not what I wanted her to see as life.
Yes, that's a good one. As you should. You were a phoenix rising. But I can relate to that same thing. When I finally went through my divorce is when the lens came off that I have been wearing my whole entire life. So my dad was very influential to me, and my parents were really dedicated parents. However, they did plant some core beliefs that I've had to weed out. My dad was a very scientific-minded guy. My mom also would say things that like, don't pay attention to your looks, because like girls who wear a lot of makeup are asking for it. They're asking for trouble. So there was always this discomfort around appearance. So when I look at my first marriage, I realize now, because I can see clearer, is that I married somebody who felt familiar. He was disparaging in that, this is so weird and it sounds kind of pathetic, but it was my truth. He would not take a picture of me. That was back in the day when you had to have film developed, and there's no pictures of me at that time frame. And I believed it was because I was less than, I was not worthy of even a photograph. And so when I finally was like, I realized with my kids too, Jen, the same thing. When I sat and thought about my 3 young, beautiful, impressionable kids, I did not want them to think that this is who I was, what they saw, what they were seeing.
Right.
And that this was not a marriage. This is not what I wanted them to implant into their own core beliefs, that this is what they should expect. And that's when I left. It took me a long time in a lot of ways to overcome all of that. But that's why I'm so passionate about what we're doing on this podcast and why we're sharing all of this, right? Is because I want to help other people wake up to their true potential and realize that some of this stuff, these core beliefs, it's not your fault. And if you carry core beliefs with you, it's okay. Because you know what? We were all human. We were all reacting positively and negatively to what life was handing us. And one of the other most healing things was when, about 10 or 15 years ago, my mom wrote her own autobiography. And it was so interesting reading it, because that is when I realized she was still a young child who was a very sensitive Libra. She was still carrying around these painful memories of things people did to her, what they said to her. That is when I realized that my mom was still consumed with all these limited negative beliefs that she was given. And that's why I talk about forgiveness, is when I could kind of forgive them for not giving me positive self-beliefs. I just realized they're just humans doing the best they can, and they really did try, but maybe they were just unaware, right? And that's when my healing started, is when I could finally just break that chain and let go of it.
I genuinely believe, I didn't at one point, at this point I do, that people show up and give you the best they have to give. So, depending one's level of their own limiting beliefs, they can only love others as much as they love themselves, right? They can only give what they know how to receive. And same thing with forgiveness and grace. Like, I was very angry and hurt and sad for a long time with several people that were part of my core and my who I was in my past, previous 28 life.
Yeah.
But I have learned that they were giving the best that they had to give, or I choose to believe they were giving the best that they have to give. So, for the record,
Yeah.
my ex-husband's a really good guy. He's a nice guy. We just weren't in the same places. So I do believe he was giving the best he had to give. Where I needed to go was a different place, kind of that thing. And parental wise too.
Well, I think you guys sharing those stories that are so vulnerable and so truthful, like, I think these relationships that all are around us, our parents, our grandparents, who we fall in love with, our friendship, they all are a direct reflection of what we allow in our world and what we choose. Like, our words have so much power. And I think it's a beautiful thing that you guys have that awareness to be able to share that with your children, because there are so many parents that don't have that awareness. They don't even realize that the pain they're inflicting on their children just by their words, what they're saying, really has true power. And, what we think is so important. And what we believe about ourselves really stems from those thoughts. Our thoughts really do create feelings within us. And those feelings create these beliefs. So over time, if it's a teacher or coach or a family member, a friend, someone you dated told you weren't smart enough, weren't good enough, you might hold on to that for 50 years. I can't tell you how many people in my life coach practice I speak to, and they're holding on to things from their childhood and living with that and feeling those emotions from those thoughts. I just want each and every one of you to know that you are capable of moving through those feelings and those thoughts and replacing them with powerful, empowering beliefs and thoughts about who you are. Because each and every one of us has the opportunity every day to change and start to rewire the way we think, just because we were conditioned one way. And I'll tell you what, not all of us have the best upbringing, and we're all given different circumstances. And it's very sad to reflect on how some, and what they experienced, the trauma they went through at a young age. But just knowing that you can be the creator of that change. You can shift generational DNA, thoughts, feelings, and the way that you're speaking to everyone around.
I think it's so important to encourage women. See, I think women are the true powers of change because we are so motivated by this idea of the next generation, right? The next generation literally comes through us. And I think if you can't do it for yourself, or you don't feel you're worthy of improvement and change, think about, if I can be a better role model for my children, then if that is what gives you the motivation to start to look and sometimes make the really big, scary changes that you need to make in order to intentionally believe in yourself. I know for myself, that was a turning point for me. It was so freeing once you take those shackles off, or if I keep with the glasses analogy, you take the blinders off that somebody put on you and said, this is all you can do and this is all you can be. And then you tear those suckers off and you say, no, that is not true. Like, anything I want to do, if I focus on it enough and practice enough, I can get better at anything. And Bree's mentioned this in the past, and I just want to say that in connection to this topic, is that your mindset is just another muscle that with repeated practice, you can strengthen your mindset and you can change anything up here. In fact, you can change how the synapses actually, you're changing your physical body when you start to intentionally believe in yourself. And so I want to ask you do you remember, and I think Bree, you kind of mentioned this about, being like your coaches who took you in and said you were good enough is when it clicked with you. But do you guys have other things that you also have done or experienced that helped you start to become more aware of yourself and what works for you to improve your self-concept?
Yeah, I think books are powerful. They are full of wisdom. And I will give a few that really helped me just become more enlightened, more self-aware. One is The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And the second one that really was transformative for me was The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. and just recognizing how much power we have in this extraordinary present moment. We're not living in the past. We're not stuck in the future, but we're here and now in this present moment. And some actionable items that I would share, like Kat mentioned, the mind is a muscle, right? So just like if I was to go to the gym and get on a plan and get out there and want to lift every day, I'm not going to see a change overnight like I wish, but that's not the case. It's probably going to take 3-4 weeks before I start to see some muscle popping out and feeling good. So it's the same with your brain, and you need to give yourself grace in that process. So some great tools and techniques that have been scientifically proven to help us change the neuroplasticity in our brain is first, just have that thought, right? So recognize, become that awareness of that thought, okay? Is it a thought we like, or is it a thought we want to change, okay? So let's just say that it's a thought we want to change, and, maybe it is, I don't think I can do this, and I'm not worthy. I'm just not capable of this. Maybe that's a belief and a thought that just is on repeat. Just keep hearing it and just keep showing up. And I've had enough. I want to change it. I want to shift it. So moving forward, I'm going to identify, I'm not going to judge myself, shame myself. I'm going to identify that this thought keeps showing up. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a decision to reframe this thought. Now I'm going to be intentional and purposeful and say, you know what? I am worthy and capable. I got this. And guess what? This thought, now I'm going to write it down. Okay. I'm going to say it in my mind. I'm going to write it down. Guess what? Then I'm going to speak it out loud. When you speak it out loud, it gives it power. I'm going to speak it out loud, and then I'm going to sit with it. I'm going to close my eyes and visualize what it feels like to feel worthy and capable. What joy feels like, what freedom that gives. It could just be 30 seconds, a minute, whatever feels good with you. Start small. And every single day, give yourself 1 to 2 minute exercise and wait till you see what it does to your mind. It completely rewires all of the neural pathways in your brain. Now you're going to wake up. I am worthy and capable. I got this. And guess what? That's going to get right within the body. That's going to send the chemical of oxytocin and dopamine. In comparison to when I was waking up before, guess what I was feeling? I'm not worthy, not capable. And right out of the gates, I'm waking up.
Feeling your body.
I was just filling my body with cortisol, the stress hormone. This is up to you to change your mindset, and you have the opportunity to do it. So challenge yourself. It is a choice to choose to be happy, and you can begin that here and now today.
How about you, Jen? I want to layer on what Bree said quick, and then I'll go there because I jotted down a couple notes while you were talking. So vibrationally, right? If somebody's feeling really super crummy, they might not be able to go right to, I feel joy, I'm grateful, right? Because that's a really, really big jump. So one of the things that you said, Bree, was start small. And so that's what I want to layer on that is I want to encourage you, no matter where you're at, like even if you're way down here and you are in a deep depression, which sucks and it's hard to see light, find any little bit of light. But one of the ways that you can do that is, again, grab anything you can possibly write on. Maybe have a journal. A journal would be great, but grab anything you can write on. And even for a day, just acknowledge what you're doing, who you're interacting with, and how you're feeling. So I'm leaving it aside, but Kat had mentioned the influence from her father. My father was also an enormous influence in most of my life and decision making, probably up until about 28. We'll come back to that another day. But if I would have been paying attention to how I felt in those interactions and what I heard and even paid attention, I might have been able to drive change faster. So just take a day wherever you are. If you're way up here and you're in this amazing place, or if you're in one of your stinkiest moments of life, it doesn't matter. Acknowledge what's happening in your day and how that's making you feel. And I'm really emphasizing the connecting with the feel. The words are secondary. Go first with the feel. And then once you're able to acknowledge it, what can change in that? Don't hold it in and keep it to yourself. If you don't bring it to the surface, it tends to grow and amplify, kind of like an avalanche or a huge snowball. And it's just living inside of us, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger because we're not sharing it. So I encourage you to share it. Ask for help. Ask for a different way to interact with somebody. Like, just get it out there. And then as you're doing that, take the smallest micro thing that you can find and go to that next level of joy. It might be joy like we're dancing in the living room just because we can, joy, or it might be joy in, hey, I executed that report that I needed to ahead of time. I killed it today. Whatever teeny thing it is, like, it's okay to start small because those small steps build and build and build. Kat, I know I'm avoiding your question for a second, but I wanted to elaborate on what Bree said and really emphasizing that starting small piece and start where you are.
Start where you are.
Right?
It's wonderful.
Because we all start somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, now I need the question again.
What did you do to become more aware of self?
And I want to layer in on what you were saying, Jen. Like, those tiny little changes that we can make. Just 1%. Don't try to change it all overnight.
Correct. This doesn't have to change overnight.
Incremental. It could be as simple as, tomorrow I'm just going to practice gratitude.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to focus on one thing that I'm so grateful for. It could be my heart, could be the bones in my body, could be my feet that I have to walk, my eyes to see. It could be my family, my home, whatever it is. Just find one thing. Even if you're in a very dark place, in a low place, there's always one thing that you can find to be grateful for. And what that's going to do is that thought is automatically going to trigger a chemical inside of you. And that chemical is oxytocin. And it's going to make you feel a whole lot better. So remember, if you need a quick, I need to feel good. I need to feel like a little bit better. Focus on what is right in front of you that you can be so grateful for.
And I could layer on to what you guys both said, is that one of the things I was going to recommend to people, especially people who might be a little like resistant or uncomfortable with journaling. Like some people just have a really hard time. Like, I don't know how to do that. Like, here, I'm going to give you 3 fill in the blanks. And this should help you start that whole process that we've been talking about. The first one is, I am fill in the blank. You are fill in the blank. The world is fill in the blank. So write your answers in there, and you can do that several times, like maybe once a day for a week. Look at your answers. What is the tenor of your answers? Are they positive? Are they negative? Start to make connections. And sometimes I suggest, circle words that you're like, and then you start to see, oh, one of my core beliefs is fear-based. Like I have been fear. And so, okay, then, once you name it, then you can start to overcome it. That would be one thing that I would layer on to what you guys said. But my answer to that whole self-awareness thing is when I was going through my divorce and it was really dark and scary and I had no support, nobody around me who was really supporting me, I would spend these moments. And I told you guys about the story, like I didn't even think I was worthy of somebody taking a picture of me, And I would go in the bathroom and I would try to look at myself in the mirror. And I realized something. I realized I could not make eye contact with myself. And I finally said, okay, I'm going to do this intentionally. And because I'm an artist, I said, okay, maybe I can help myself do this is I would bring a sketchbook with me and I would try to sketch what I saw in the mirror. And it took forever. It took months, guys, before I could actually draw the whole thing. Sometimes it was maybe just like part of my eye. And it was so therapeutic for me to do this mirror work, is all I can explain it. And that is when I could finally look at myself fully in the mirror. And what do you see? On paper. And you can go back and then you can start to connect what it is that you continually feed yourself. If you don't write it down, it's just thoughts that still inhabit your psyche, but you're just not aware that they're taking up space. So that's why journaling is so important.
Yeah, I love that you were looking in the mirror like that. And I think a lot of people probably can relate to that, Kat. And how do you look in the mirror and what do you say? And how do you speak to that human in the mirror too?
Treat yourself like you treat your best friend or the person that you love the most, right? And it's such a weird concept, I think, for most of us. It's very simple. If you would just treat yourself, that person in the mirror, like you treat your most prized loved one or prized possession, like how do you treat that? Give that back to yourself, acceptance and hope. Another thing that I have done along these lines is try to channel the person that you want to be, that most successful future person, that version of yourself, and write a letter to your current self and give your current self what she needs, if it's encouragement or advice, or sometimes it's warnings. And that process, you be kind of, I've done that in the past where I'm like, whoa, how did that come out? Like, how did I didn't even know where that was. But it was some really crazy accurate stuff that I hadn't even been aware was inside of me when I write from my future self. So that would be another thing I would recommend.
I just wrote that down as a
Yeah.
homework comes out.
Yeah. Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I think we're ready to kind of wrap up and say, what are the 5 steps to take off the blinders that are limiting your view of yourself? So the first things, like we're saying, awareness is number 1. The more you can become aware of your limiting beliefs, it truly is. Sometimes it feels a little scary to confront them. It does feel scary, right? But it's okay. Remember, you're just human. You don't have to be perfect, but awareness is step number 1. So a question to ask yourself, what beliefs are distorting your view on what your true potential is? Write it down, like we've said. And then ask yourself, who gave me these glasses? Who's the one who put these core beliefs in me? And try to understand it from maybe their perspective. Like I mentioned with my mom, where she had inherited some things, and the idea of, stay safe, stay small, don't make yourself be seen. Okay, that's all danger, danger, danger for a woman, right? She was trying to save me, but I perceived it as stay small, stay down. So again, ask yourself, who gave you these glasses that you're viewing life through? And then you know what? Try on a couple new pairs of lenses. Say, you know what? If I choose not to believe this about me, what perhaps could be my truth? Try on a couple different ideas. I can't speak in public. I am a horrible public speaker. I could never do that. I will throw up on stage. I can never do that. Okay, we don't want to believe that anymore. Say instead is kind of the stuff you guys are saying, but start small. And I think of it as rungs of a ladder. Okay, I can't go way up there, but I can reach this first rung. And the first rung is people enjoy having conversations with me. I'm a good conversationalist. So how can I use that one-on-one language to learn how to present my ideas better? Okay, then just get used to speaking to one person. And then maybe you can speak in front of a trusted group, like a good group of friends that you say, hey, let me practice presenting to you, right? So it's just one little rung at a time, and you can improve your self-belief with that. But I really love the idea of challenging your beliefs. It's just saying, who says I can't be on a stage in front of 10,000 people? And, if you go through all those steps, you will start to be able to really test your boundaries. And then you can just really get a clear vision of who you are and who you want to be. And my final inspiration for all of you is this. You are a divine source of love and energy, and you are limitless as the universe. The only thing left to do is to start seeing it in yourself. Bam.